Welcome back to the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast with me, your host, Shawn Payne, also known as Code for 0216 on social media, TikTok. You already probably know who I am. But anyways, I am here with some very exciting people today. I am here with my good friend, Shasta Haddock, and my new good friend, Veronica Dunford.
Hi. Hi.
These are women in automotive. And what I'd like to do is just get right into it. We have, we're at the NAAA convention here, 2025, Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. There are people everywhere, and everybody wants to talk to Veronica. So while we have her for 15, 20 minutes, we're going to dive right into it. So I would like to know, or I'd like to have you share, Veronica, if you don't mind starting. Give me the backstory. Give me the history. Women in Automotive, how did it start? Who started it? Give me the history.
Well, Women in Automotive as an organization actually started in 2014 by a group of women and in a marketing agency as well as a board of directors. I was one of the original members, not one of the original owners. I have been with the company since the beginning as a supporter and as a member. I joined the board 5 years ago-ish.
Sounds about right.
And 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, International Women's Day, I purchased the company and the remaining two owners. At the time, I begged and pleaded Robin Wilson, Kathy Gilbert, and a couple of the other board members to stay with me in this journey if I bought the company. And as board members, and a couple of them as owners at the time, Robin stayed on with me as an owner for the marketing arm. She has since divested as an owner due to being ridiculously busy and in demand.
Ridiculously.
And I have now a 50-50 male-female board.
Okay.
We are board-led.
Okay.
This beautiful woman right here
Isn't she pretty? Beautiful.
Is also on my board.
Yeah.
She now handles all of our regional events.
Awesome.
And my lifeline when I can't figure out tech because I no longer have toddlers at home.
Same.
But she is a very well grown up toddler that has that mindset to figure out any kind of.
She's a problem solver.
Yes.
Yeah, and that leads me to Shasta.
And I say that because there was a joke earlier in our conference that we were doing, and we couldn't figure out something on one of our ticketing websites, and Robin happened to say, yeah, well, we don't have any toddlers around, so give it to her. She'll figure it out faster. So it was just kind of an inside joke.
No, that is funny. And Shasta is I know,
so smart.
An amazing and integral part of Women in Automotive. Shasta, do me a favor and tell me, how did you get introduced in, and how, on a day-to-day basis, what's your role?
So my original introduction to Women Automotive is actually kind of hilarious. So we were attending our very first automotive conference. It was Digital Dealer 2016, I think, and was in an elevator, and literally an elevator pitch. Some woman was standing there, and she's like, oh, tell me what you do. And so I gave her like the 30-second. At the time, we were only one company. We were just itty bitty social media marketing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what do you do? And I saw on her badge, it said Women in Automotive. And I was like, wait a second. We've kind of been trying to, my CEO wants to speak there, and we've been trying to get involved. And she's like, okay, great, let me meet her. Stubby, this is who I was talking to. Yeah. And so we go and start a conversation, and she's like, we've actually been looking for social media help with Women in Automotive to help us get out there more. We just don't have the time for it. And so kind of started the conversation there. We got to be more involved in the marketing piece of it for several years. And then Robin got brought on as a board member when the previous ownership was in play, and stayed really involved with it all the way through to the buy sell, stayed with Veronica, and then we just kept opening more companies because why not? And so she had to step back. She absolutely did not have time. I don't know how she sleeps, honestly. She stays so busy. Yeah. And so, yeah. So 2.5 years ago, we started the Chicks in Charge podcast, where, we didn't know what our main focus was in the beginning. We're like, okay, we're two young women. We want to start sharing our voices on a podcast, and quickly realized how popular we were with the young women market. And one of the things that I'd felt with the previous ownership of Women in Automotive is it was too stuffy and corporate. There wasn't enough women there that looked like me, that were young like me, or having the same struggles that I was. It was too OEM and too classy, and I didn't felt like I belonged. So I'd actually stopped attending before the buy sell.
Really?
Like I
Okay.
had
Yeah.
I had stopped attending and really kind of backed away from it.
Yeah.
So then when Veronica purchased it and her and Gary and Kathy took over, it started to shift back to something that I could be a part of. So then we had the podcast, and that went really well hand in hand, of course, with Women in Automotive.
Yeah.
So last year at the annual conference, we announced that we were officially partnered together. And so, yeah, been hand in hand ever since. And then we started up the regional events really on a structured basis March of last year. Had a really big one in Kansas City that was crazy successful, and had so many people showing interest after that were like, okay, so these should be a thing. But what we quickly realized is nobody on the board was equipped to run it or handle it, as the board stood at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I've run a few of these now. Like I probably have a pretty good idea of what it should look like. Like I'll take it over.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
She literally, this girl, literally, and I say girl lightly because she's a grown woman with children, with a husband, with a business, with more than one business.
Yeah.
Who had already come to me with a business plan of, I want to be a partner for the Chicks in Charge podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, she's done it.
Yeah.
And then she comes to me and says, okay, these socials are great. However, they're very disorganized.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I mean,
To the attendees,
disorganized is an understatement.
Yeah. Yeah.
the attendees probably thought it looked great, but on the back end, we're all scrambling like all hair on fire.
Right. It's like the ducks on the pond thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And she says, let me put something together and show you what I can do to help you. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get this, a page, which is basically what she would give the host
Yeah.
or the sponsor
Yeah.
when she was helping out. No, I get like 400 pages of business plan and spreadsheets,
You're like, hold on.
agendas, and
I didn't want all that
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it.
You're the right person.
Sure.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely,
awesome.
you can. You know I can't pay you. She goes, oh, I wasn't expecting you to get paid.
Right.
And we're having a conversation on the backside. I'm like, how about a board seat? You want a board seat?
Yeah.
You can have a board seat.
Yeah.
Because we don't pay our board. We're all volunteers.
Well, so it's a funny story about Shasta is, so I met Robin first. Robin is Shasta's mom. And so I met Robin first, and I was enthralled with Robin. I was just drawn to her, just her energy. I call her the Energizer Bunny. We're kind of same generation, so same mindset. And, but there's a very humble side of Robin that a lot of people don't get to see. Because she's got the swag out there with the blue hair, and she's all attitude. And,
She does that to match us.
okay, well, yeah.
Just so you know.
But I was drawn to her, and then I met Shasta, and Robin and I weren't friends that long, and I didn't know how to say to her. So I said, "Your daughter's a star." I said,
How did you know she was their daughter? Nobody knew that.
She told me. But I said to
Most
her,
people don't
I
know
said,
that.
Robin, I said, Shasta's a star. You know that, right? And she's like, yeah. I go, no. That girl's a star. So, and I feel that way today about Shasta, and I'm impressed every single day. I do want to stay on task here a little bit because there's some important pieces that I definitely want to talk about that I think that you'll appreciate that we talk about. So, the first question was, why do you feel in your heart, women in automotive, why is this important for the automotive industry? I want to hear your version. Why is it important?
Well, to be honest, I started out at 18 in the automotive industry.
Okay.
And that was a long time
5, 6
ago.
years ago, I get it.
Yeah, times about, 6. And when I started, we talked about this in our session earlier, I was the only female on the sales floor. I sold 20 cars in 2 weeks. The only women
Wait for it.
anywhere were in the accounting office
Sure.
or
Yeah.
the receptionist.
Yeah.
And when it came to be payday 2 weeks later, oh, you don't get paid for that. You are training.
Gotcha.
Nobody else sold more than 2 cars in 2 weeks.
Are
I
you
sold
serious?
20.
Get out of here. And they said it was training, and they
Yes.
thought that you would just
They
take that.
Yeah,
And
well,
did you, if you don't mind? Did you?
no, I can't tell you what I said.
That young, I mean, when you're that young, you don't have the same sort of empowerment. I mean, how did that go?
Oh, I definitely had that sort of empowerment. I had been on my own, living on my own at that point for 3 years. I
Okay.
graduated high school at 15,
Okay.
and I'd already been in junior college for a bit, although I do not have a degree like most people.
Yeah.
Because instead of getting a degree, I went on to start my own business.
Okay.
Thereafter.
So you're a serial entrepreneur.
I
am. Okay.
And small business supporter.
Awesome.
I left that day.
Yeah.
Can't say what I said to them. Not on film.
This is a
And-
not safe kid. I mean, we're no, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'd even be safe for that.
That's all right.
But needless to say, that dealership is not in business any longer.
Yeah.
Wonder why?
Right.
Sounds like a great culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing.
It didn't hurt that it was the same time frame that the the Corvettes were blowing up and being returned on the regular.
Yikes.
But they fixed that problem.
Is this thing? What year is this?
88.
Okay, because there was a crossfire fuel injected Corvette back in the day that had some that would catch fire. For those of you who were alive, anyways. But
No, this was in the Z series when they
Okay.
first launched.
okay. So tell me, so what happened? So that experience.
I left
obviously-
and I got into investment banking
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
instead, which is also male dominated. And I ended up learning everything I know in business from my then boss,
Yeah.
who had a very different stance. That he had daughters, and he really wanted to make sure that someone took pity on me, because I had a very bad attitude, very big temper. Learned and was taught by somebody, and that he hoped somebody would get his daughters the same. And I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I did not have a degree.
Yeah.
That didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I worked for a group of investors doing business development, R&D, marketing, you name it. They wanted to buy a company. They would send me in to hire fire staff, reorganize, write a business plan. I would paint walls, industry.
I just realized something. You were Shasta before Shasta. You were the first Shasta. It sounds. I mean, that's a similar story. I mean, she just shared off screen earlier how the business plan stuff and how you came, or actually no, during while we were on screen. I mean, it sounds like you were Shasta before Shasta. So I can see the synergy there. So, but take that to automotive now. So obviously we got a little bit of background from you, but why is it important?
Fast forward,
Let's do that.
I get back into automotive
Okay.
on a whim.
Okay.
That same boss calls me up and says, "So I'm taking on a client in the automotive industry. Do you want to come help with this deal?" And I'm like, and I literally said, the words came out of my mouth. I have no interest in the automotive industry.
Yeah.
I was in motorcycles and running my own business at
Okay.
that time because
Yeah.
I owned a motorcycle.
Okay.
2 weeks later, to the day, a buddy of mine calls me and says, "You'll never guess I got this deal, this job, working for two large Ford stores in Southern California. They are on the second page of Google, but they are the #1 Ford store in Orange County and the #1 Ford store in San Diego.
Wow.
I know you have a client that works on SEO and websites. Do you think they'd be interested in helping them?"
Oh wow.
I went to the meeting instead.
Yeah. Okay.
They hired me on the spot,
Of course.
tried to convince me to give up my company and come to work for them.
Of course.
15 years later, I was retired
Okay.
because the only job I've ever been fired from 3 times for various reasons.
Yeah.
But my first day as a salesperson, I never stood on the line. I was told, "Go across the street over there to the mall and get yourself some high heels and thigh highs so that you can go sell that car,
Mm.
which happened to be the boss's Porsche.
Mm.
And my response was, watch this, boys. And I sold that car on the first test drive.
For you. That's
And I, as you can see, you'll never see me wear a dress
Yeah.
at work.
So I'm translating. So the reason that it's important to me, because I also want to focus not just on women. I want to focus on automotive too. So I see why it's important. We all know that's a loaded question. Why is it important? We all know why it's important, right? Equality. Now, and various other reasons. As a former dealer, I would tell people all the time, guys, if I could hire all women, make no bones about
Absolutely.
it, I would. Well, why do you say that? Back then, they would say, well, why would you say that? Well, let me be very clear with you. First of all, you don't have a male ego. Okay? So you're not going to do something based on pride, right? We're not going to have this, right? You don't have that. You also have a built-in maternal instinct, okay? Which makes you a very caring person and an amazing listener and an empath, right? An empathetic, right? Right, for the most part. And you are also, and I'm talking to the people that would ask me, but women are also extremely detail-oriented, much better than us.
Yeah.
Okay? So let me get this straight. So I'm going to paint a picture, guys. Why would I replace all of you guys with a bunch of women? Well, I would be more compliant. I would have less fraud and risk. I would have less funding issues because my deals would get funded because you would get things like stips or signatures, right? Oh, by the way, my customers will have a better experience because somewhere deep down, you actually care. It's
Right.
not about a paycheck. Oh, and by the way,
We know how to
you
share.
don't have this. Yeah, I'm going to be, because I'm the. So now, are there any more questions?
Right.
I would have these conversations with the guys that work for me, and they thought it was crazy. But, the reality is that I will say this, the best straight car people, profitability-wise, productivity-wise, and I should say employee retention-wise, because you're also more loyal, I think, by nature, have been women in my history of being a dealer, and especially in the finance office, because again, there's so much fraud and risk that you have there, and we're gunslingers. Hey, it's not right here, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just not your nature. So I know why it's important. The other thing I would like to know is, we know why it's important in industry like automotive, right? And I think we're getting better, guys. I think that we are coming around. I mean, but I'm telling you, the steps are small. What's the next step? Like, give me the vision.
Well, part of the problem, everything you just said, 100% agree. But the biggest problem is women have to learn to get out of their own way, and also to
Expand on that.
learn their own worth, because
Okay.
they're, as I was saying in our session, I believe that most women are trained, mentally trained from a very young age, not all women, but many, that they have to be better from the beginning. That they let me see.
Oh, yeah,
Give an
yeah.
example.
Yeah.
And we use this example a lot. If there's a job posting and a man has 50% of the qualifications,
Okay.
they're going to raise their hand and they're going to say, sure, I can fit for that and I'll apply.
Yeah.
A woman can have 75 to 80%. They won't apply.
Really?
Because
No.
they don't have 100%.
So this is a mentality I don't have naturally, so explain that to me. Why is that? Shasta,
Because-
I would like to hear your take on it.
I think it's because, and this is probably going to be a very different perspective, but I think it's because women are perfectionists.
Okay.
So I think of it, and I'm completely making this up on the spot, but I think of it like if you were to be looking for a babysitter for your kids, maybe it's your first kid, you want the person that's CPR certified, has
Yeah.
kids of their own, has the experience,
Yeah, sure.
is certified in all the things. You want to make sure they check all the boxes
Absolutely.
because you want to know that your baby is in the best hands possible. And so
Okay.
we assume everybody else is going to be the same way.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that their business, their baby, is in the best hands possible. And we may not believe that that's us if we don't have 100% of the qualifications. Like, oh, I'm missing, Microsoft Office experience. So
But is that, so this is interesting to me. So now I'm starting to get a little engaged here. So is it almost your internal
it's our internal
logic?
dialogue. Yeah.
Hold on. logic that you just have that maybe I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that almost work against you? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing that right?
I think women are natural
That's amazing.
overthinkers, and so it's there's, you know, we heard it in the social media session earlier that we were in that don't overthink it. Just do the thing, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, for the most part, not in our biology to not overthink it, because we have to determine what are all the possible outcomes of this, and how is this, what is the cause and effect of this, where I think men are more just instinctual creatures that just will do, and whatever the outcome is whatever the outcome is. Now you're going to run into a percentage of each that's not that way.
Right.
But
I think you're
for
right.
the most part,
I think that's true. A heavy percentage of women are
Overthinkers.
Well, let's not even
analyzers.
There you go. Let's call
That's
it.
probably a better one.
Or you guys tend to play the tape through.
Yeah.
If I do this, what could happen? Me? If I do this, I'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So that's interesting, and to get inside your mind and hear you guys say that almost your intelligence has somehow been a detriment to progress, I guess, is enlightening for me. I've never looked at it that way. Are you finding that leadership, C-suite level, whatever it is, upper level management, store level management in a dealership, are you finding the turnover? Is it happening? I mean, you're a great example of corporate, obviously, but I mean, are you finding? Are we making dents? Are we making?
I think so.
I think when I see organizations with female leaders, I don't see as much turnover, especially if it's a dealership, because more often than not, in my experience, they're more focused on culture. And any place that has a good culture is not going to have high turnover, especially, if you're making money too.
Sure, right, yeah.
I look at our own organization, and it's almost like at certain times we're being led by a man, because Robin doesn't put emotion into shit. She leads with logic. She is blunt. You always know how she feels. She doesn't sugarcoat it at all.
Right.
You know where you stand with her. And so many people were not raised to be able to handle that. They cannot have honest, open communication. And so I think as leaders, that's where we have to start. Like when we hire people or when we're training our people, we've got to start by teaching them how to have good, honest, open communication, and know that not all conflict is unhealthy. We thrive on healthy conflict. I have to be able to call her on her stuff when she's messing something up, or if she's doing something that's not right, she pisses off one of the employees. I got to be able to go to her and say, hey, you took it too far this time. You need to handle that.
So if we could just revert a little bit, do you know, and if you don't know, I'm catching you off guard, do you know the percentage of women in leadership roles in dealerships across the country, or even in corporate? Is there a percentage, or has to be?
I bet Kathy would know.
Do we know it?
Do you want dealership only, or do you want auto industry?
So here's an interesting one. Thank you for giving me the option, because there needs to be some clarity there. Let's go deeper. Give me dealership owners.
Dealership owners? Do you want NIADA numbers or
independent
franchise?
Yes.
Give me the blend.
So the blended number is 20+%.
Women
However, let me give you the caveat.
Okay.
The caveat is, for the blended number, they count women owned as either fully women owned or majority women owned. That means, and when I say that, there could be 2 owners, there could be 5 owners, but a woman owns the majority amount.
Okay, but that's okay though. That's a good gauge, isn't it? I mean, I'd like that better.
It's just different.
I like that better though, because the number would be inflated. If I sell Shasta 5% of my Chevy store, now what? That number count? That doesn't count. She's not in leadership.
As long as no man owns more percentage than she does.
Okay, so I like that number. I think
that's a great
true number then.
But a lot of people don't want to use that number because it makes it sound like there's more than there really is. And because it could also be that it's the wife that owns it, but the man runs it. And the wife really doesn't have any.
Right. He put in her name.
Correct.
For whatever reason.
Well, I think about the dealership that I started at was probably in a woman's name, because the original owner gave the stores to his children, and he had 2 daughters and a son. And so the daughter married the gentleman who's running the store now, who is listed as the owner, but that was her store.
That's awesome. And I'm going to be honest with you, the number surprises me. I
It
honestly,
surprises a lot
I
of
expected it to be lower.
me too. I thought you were going to hit maybe like an under 10% number.
NADA
That actually
number
makes
is
me
the-
somewhat happy.
NADA number is low.
Of course. Yeah, and there's various reasons for it. You got OEMs involved now, and that's a whole different thing. We could talk about OEM women leadership. I'm sure that is a very thin percentage on the corporate scale. Independence, is that where the
60,000 independent dealerships. Or independent blended.
yeah?
There's 18,311 NADA dealerships.
Right, and then about 38,000 independents, correct? Isn't that about right? 40,000
60,000 total.
independents.
All
Okay.
together.
Okay.
blended
Yeah,
numbers.
blended. Okay. So 24%, 24% of those are women owned. That's a good. We are making progress
You
because
know,
that was not
independent
always that way.
It's just a license.
I
whether
understand.
it's
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this, and this is a question that I've been excited to ask. What barriers still exist? What's holding us back?
I said I would love to take this one.
Happy to have
It's
Uh-oh.
people thinking they're having the conversation and it being the wrong conversation. So we just got out of that session and a question was asked at the end that literally made me turn my face. That was, how do you handle work-life balance?
You didn't just turn your face. Your face
Oh,
made every
yeah.
possible scrunchy.
Oh, I hate that question.
Okay, so can I take a stab at why I think that
Go for it.
might have moved you a little?
Why?
Why are you asking me? Just because I'm a woman?
Why do I never see that
Because nobody
question
asked
asked
me
to
that
men?
ever.
Yes. Why does nobody
That's why
ask that
nobody
question to men?
Okay,
I
right.
thought I did a good answer.
You
Good job
did.
answering
What was
did.
the answer?
Me?
You're proud of
don't
it.
have
Let's
that.
hear it. What was it? You told me.
Well, because I don't have that problem anymore because
Yeah.
I'm actually spoiled rotten and my husband does all the work.
Oh, that's
I
a
mean,
boss
I
answer.
work.
That's a boss answer. I love it.
I mean, we both work
Yeah.
equal amounts, but he takes care of the house.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
spoiled rotten. He cooks, he cleans, he does the dishes, he does the floors, and he
I'm not
takes
thinking
care of
of the
me.
spoiled by
Well,
really.
and
I'm really spoiled.
I mean, okay.
I'll
believe
tell you, my husband as a law enforcement officer has less work-life balance than I do.
Yeah.
Like,
So it moved you because why are you asking me? Why? Because
Yeah,
I have
like,
kids
he-
and I'm a woman.
and the funny thing is, like, and I, for all intents and purposes, those are my kids. Biologically, they are not my kids.
Okay.
And we have split custody of them. We have the majority of the time. Their mom lives 3 hours away. She gets them, occasionally, whatever. But those are his kids, his responsibility
Yeah.
by all means and purposes. And he works more hours than I do. And why does nobody ask him about his work-life
Right,
balance? I mean,
right.
he's essentially a single father raising kids. I mean, he's not single, but I'm not, the mother of his kids. So
You are.
yeah.
So
Essentially.
But you are.
But nobody asks him that
right.
question.
I
Why
get
not?
the unfairness, just the inequality right
Yeah,
there.
and
I
so
understand.
it's the caveat of where he's a parent more than I am. Like I've
Yeah.
never birthed children, so why are you asking me about my work-life balance when
Yeah.
my career is my life?
I can see why that would. I
Yeah.
can see.
And
Now,
so it's the way
career
that
is
we
my life.
the way that
Yeah.
we shift the
Right.
narrative.
Yeah, like we talk about. My
Yeah.
balance is perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Since COVID hit, work-life balance went away for
Yeah.
90% of people
That's
because
a good point.
so many people chose not to go back to an office.
That's a great
Well,
point.
It is
I was
what you make it.
It
I was
is.
talking to a gentleman last
Yes.
week.
That was all part of my answer too, by the way.
I was talking to a gentleman last week who works from home, and he was literally complaining about me. He's like, I don't have work-life balance because my office is in my living room, and I'm never away from work.
Right.
And so it's a problem all of
That's
us
his choice,
experience.
though.
But I mean, we're in the month of men's mental health awareness,
Yeah.
and it's not something that's talked about because everyone assumes men are all macho, and
We're
we've got
okay.
this, and
I'm fine. That's what
Like,
we always say.
yeah, like, and we don't ever- we don't consider the things that
yeah.
maybe we need to be teaching men about work-life balance. Like, how do you separate that? Or as a whole, everybody needs to focus on work-life balance, whatever. But those are the barriers we're still facing, is that people think they're having good conversations, or one of the things that was mentioned was, what challenges have you faced
Okay.
as a woman in automotive? And it's like, okay, we can keep talking about the past, or we can focus on the future of what are you doing to shape the future women of automotive.
Right. So is it almost in a way offensive that we even still have? It's almost that we even have the conversation is rubbing us wrong.
Living in the past isn't ever going to do
That's
us
what I'm
anything.
saying.
Like, for
What are we
anything,
still talking about?
yeah,
Let's just go
for
forward.
anything, like, we can't change the past.
Yeah.
So what are we doing in now and in the future to make a better place for women in automotive? What are we doing right now to make our dealerships more welcoming for women to work at, for women to shop at?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now? Not what
So let's
happened
talk
10
about
years
that.
ago.
let's have this healthy conversation.
Let's do it.
So tomorrow you get to wake up and implement 5 things into every dealership in the country to empower women. How do we do it? I mean, if you had to build me a roadmap, if I was in charge of the automotive industry, and you said, Shawn, here's 5 things I need you to do to make it more equal. I mean, like I'm a 4-year-old because I don't know, what would they be? Build it for me.
I think first off, better support. Better support for attending conferences.
I love that. Okay.
I think there should be an allocation for all of your management staff and even some for your lower level staff to attend 1 or 2 learning experiences a year.
Okay.
Because you can't grow if you're not surrounded by greatness, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think even for men, like that's not just for women, but even for men, but especially for women, because they don't get, for the most part, the natural pull up to leadership as much as men do in a dealership.
Okay, so
I
we
think
have to only do 3. Call you off guard. So if there's, give me 3.
Yeah. God, it's been so long since I've worked in a dealership. I think training on healthy communication has to be there.
I agree.
I mean, I have to be able to tell you how I feel without fear of retribution, and that is the number one thing I hear out of dealerships right now is I can't tell anybody what just happened for fear of what's going to happen to me.
That makes me sick.
Yeah.
And I know that you're right. And so okay, so that's 2. So again, I mean, again, we're men, and let's just say we're still 76% leadership. But give me one more thing that we can.
I think again, the third thing is going to apply to everybody, and I mean, all 3 things apply to everybody. But what will make this a more welcoming place for women is schedule flexibility. I mean, my husband has missed so many of our kids' events because he didn't have the flexibility to leave work.
Yeah.
I have the flexibility to leave work. I have good, solid leadership in my organization. If I have to go pick my kids up to take them to the doctor, to take them to a football game, I have the power to do that.
Yeah.
He does not. So I think that making sure that we have that flexibility where you got to go handle something and you have to go to an appointment, you have to go do something without retribution, without it's going to get you a point, it's going to get you a half a point, whatever it is. You need to have that freedom and know that it won't be taken advantage of, because your good culture will make sure it's not taken advantage of.
So, and thank you. And because, sometimes guys, sometimes men, we don't really know what it is that you need from us. We think
people think we need lactation rooms and all that stuff. I mean, some people do, absolutely.
People I met in my life, I'm gonna be honest with you, the women, my grandmother, you know what I'm saying, my sister, and we don't always know. So I do think that there's a lack of a blueprint out there, Veronica, that could be laid out for people. Like this is the improvements that we're asking for.
Was it my turn now?
Well, it is, but I got a better question. Oh no, yeah, hit it, do it, yeah. I saw you.
I want her 3.
I saw it racing. Go ahead.
So her schedule flexibility is definitely in there, but that goes both ways for men and women.
Yeah.
Because we have plenty of men out there, like she said, that miss their events of that nature.
Yeah.
Same for women.
Yeah.
I did not give birth to my children, but I have 3 children, 3 stepchildren, and I have 6.4 grandchildren. That I have missed more events in the last 15 years being in the auto industry than I ever missed before running my own business, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
And I have a very flexible boss. I did before now.
Yeah.
Being retired.
Give me so you got 3. Tee up 3.
So with women in automotive, since purchasing the company, we are very inclusive of men. We firmly believe that if we don't include men, we are never going to change our narrative.
It would almost be hypocritical, wouldn't it?
Well, you would think
think so.
Right.
But that is not
Does that everybody see it that way?
No.
Prior to purchasing the company, it was not a warm and welcoming endeavor for men to participate.
Oh, really? It's almost a little reverse. Yeah. Wow.
There was someone, Joe Webb, who's one of our board members, was talking about how he was speaking at one of the Women in Automotive events, and a woman literally stood up and heckled him from the audience as to why he was there.
Yeah. And so I've had the company for 3 years. Dallas. Dallas event.
You cannot win if you're not present. If you can hear me, you are present. Currently responding cards to the
A lot of people still to this day don't know that it's been
right now.
but it's me.
Yeah.
And I happen to be walking through the lobby. I don't wear a badge. Even here, I don't wear my badge because it usually snags my clothes or gets caught in my hair or whatever the case may be, and I just get a little pissy about it. And I overheard a woman complaining about the amount of men we had. Mind you, prior to the purchase, 7% men max at any given time. We are at 20 to 25% now.
For you.
But that year was our first conference under new ownership.
Yeah.
And this woman had the audacity to say out loud
Okay.
that she did not want men there. She wanted it to go back to the way it was when it was just women involved. And I stopped mid-stride, and I turned to her and I said, I'm sorry, you're just perpetuating the problem.
Correct. Yeah.
If you want to go back to a women's club,
Yeah.
when we're trying to change it from a men's club,
Right.
then I would be happy to refund your ticket.
Yeah.
She goes, who the hell do you think you are? I said, hi, I'm Veronica. I own this place.
Right.
And if you are not happy being here, and
Yeah.
who our guests are,
Yeah.
or who happens to be one of my board members that make all this happen for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and you are welcome to go out that door and leave and never come back because you're perpetuating our problems.
That's a shame. My question is, did you know if she had to go to the ER like the broken toes from the mic drop? I mean, was just jumping on her?
She did not leave.
She didn't leave? Okay, gotcha. Well, of course she did, because that's amazing leadership.
But her friends that were standing there were like,
Yeah. Well, so my last question is going to be this.
But my other answer to your question.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Men,
Yep.
including in our conversations and our events.
Yeah.
But not only that, mentorship. Mentorship.
Yeah.
Because for a dealership, you need to be able to mentor, providing it. And we have a mentorship program. We
Saw
have
that.
dealer memberships.
Yeah.
That we have, and we also offer the opportunity to come in and
Okay, folks, no blame. This is your last chance.
employee programs to where we can help
$500
train
2 different times.
and their
Okay.
employee research
Yeah.
resource group
Yeah.
on how to sell to women, how to work with women,
Yeah.
how to work together, how
Yeah.
to collaborate, and also offer mentorships.
Yeah.
So that's just something that we do.
So the blueprint is out there, but
It is out there.
I'm
People
gonna-
just don't realize that it's out there for them.
right. So there's my last question.
It's her job.
No. I'm coming. No. I'm hitting. Yeah. No. Hold on. You're driving, right? You're driving. Okay. How do we? And I'm asking because this is in my blood. How do we use social to get this out there? So I feel that's the vehicle. Social media is the vehicle, right? How do we get it out there? And I don't want you to answer.
I know I'm shutting my mouth.
More groups
Okay.
like
Okay.
more associations like this.
Okay.
I mean, I had a conversation with NIADA today. We are going to be partnering with them going forward. We are trying to be partnering with more auto dealer associations in
Yeah.
general
Yeah.
to allow more people access to us and get our messages out to them. We already have partnerships with colleges and universities. We are looking for more of those third-party universities,
Yeah.
like the technician
Yeah.
universities,
Of
things
course.
like that.
Yes. Like the vocationals and all that too.
Absolutely,
Everything. Yeah. For
we
sure.
want to partner with.
Yeah.
But we don't have manpower as all volunteers to search for them.
Right. We have boots
So,
on the ground.
Getting
Yeah.
it out via this mechanism
Yeah.
is the best way possible.
I agree. Yeah.
So that they know that we're looking and they know that we exist, because we do have both sides of the equation. We are a for-profit that puts on our event, but we are a non-profit. We are building a scholarship fund for technicians only. We are building
That's
our
awesome.
scholarships for scholarships. You know, LG Bright is here
Yeah.
on the
Literally
ground,
right there.
now in front of us.
Yeah. Okay.
And they upped their participation with us this year for the
Northwood
first
University.
time ever at
Oh,
Northwood.
awesome.
They went from 1 scholarship a year to 5 this year. It'll be announced at our
That's
conference.
amazing.
5 scholarships a year.
Wow, kudos
Going
to them.
forward.
That's amazing.
Jack Harden.
Yeah.
Jack
Not
Harden's
just
an
one.
Yeah.
APA
We have a partnership with Kaiser University.
National
Anyone that's a
Dealer of
member
the
of our
Year.
organization
Jack
automatically
Harden's
gets
an NIADA
25%
staff.
tuition assistance for them or any family member.
Really? Okay, so I'm an industry guy. I don't know this. How do we got this has to come out. I mean, you know, I'm imploring you to find a way to get this out because the message is clear, the passion is there, the leadership is there, right? I know all of you, highly impressed with all of you. However, if I was to bring up Shasta Haddock's name, or Veronica Dunford's name, or Robin Wilson's name to a male in the automotive industry, I would bet you 3 out of 10 might know who you are. And that is not okay.
In the independent realm, may not know who I am. In the franchise dealer world, they likely would.
Okay.
15 years.
Okay, so
NADA.
and I guess maybe I'm independent right now. That's where
Yeah.
we are. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's my mindset. But so yeah, and this is the most important topic in the automotive industry, in my opinion.
It
is
is.
women. This is the most important topic.
Well, and it's funny to your question earlier about, you know, you wanted to say social media. How do we get the word out there? Like I asked her earlier, I'm like, so when are we going to start doing TikTok?
So
Yeah,
I
too.
don't.
I'll make her a a with
See,
the head, look at the look and everything, the
I
whole
know.
thing.
As long as I don't have to do it, because I don't even have TikTok
Oh, you're
on
doing
my
it.
phone. But if she'll do it and post the account, great. As long as I don't have to put it on my phone, I'm good.
You're doing it.
Somebody else has to host it. I'm good.
Well,
She won't do
I
it. You
wanna-
you aren't can't bully her
Then
into it.
listen, let's go things. Give me a minute. I'll wear her down. Give me enough time.
As
Hey,
long as you host the account.
Right, exactly. Well, listen. So I'm going to close with this. The reason that this is so near and dear to my heart, real quick, I'm going to tell you guys both this, and I want it on camera, and I want it out there, because I'm not a disinterested party. This is important to me. So my grandmother's name was Tina Wakely, and she was a minister. I come from a family of ministers.
All right,
And
everyone.
this was in the 70s and the 80s, and if you remember back then, much like automotive, I mean, name the ministers from back then. Jimmy Swaggart, Rex Humphrey, whatever his name was, Jimmy Swaggart, who was the big one. Well, no. So what? You know what she was? She was in the sidecar. And so my grandmother was a trailblazer, and so we had a Christian school and churches in my family, and she was a leader in Cleveland and a woman.
Ruben, you got to be here.
I think on the way down here, I'm selling Shasta. I hear so much about this, and I realized it was because of my grandmother. And in some way, this is me honoring
Ruben,
her.
holler,
So
stop your lungs. You got 5
I can't thank you
seconds.
enough for giving me the opportunity. It means a lot to me. To even just
All right,
talk to you
folks,
about
that's
it.
a first-person lesson.
If I want to get a hold of you, not me, somebody who doesn't know you, how do I get a hold of you?
Veronica,
Talk
Women
to
in
me.
Automotive.
Okay, I like
.org.
Hold on.
.org or .com. They both find you, but
Ruben
we are
sign?
.org.
Okay, gotcha. And how do I get a hold of you?
Good luck. I don't answer my phone. I'm just kidding. I'm on all of social media. You can literally Google me. I'm a public figure on Google. So just Shasta Haddock, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, all the things.
Okay.
I'm on all of them except TikTok.
Okay, so, yeah.
Yes, but he'll be running interference. If
Right.
I'm trying to get him to Women in Automotive next month after next.
I'm coming. I will come. If I'm invited, I will be there.
Yeah, everyone's invited.
All right, the boss said I can come now. So we're going to wrap up. I'm sorry we ran so long. Womeninoutautomotive.com or .org. If you're out there, Shasta Haddock, obviously Veronica, we can get a hold of her through various platforms. But guys, this is awesome.
Thank you.
This has been great for me, and I hope I can get you guys back on here again. And thanks for listening to us so much. And we are going to. I'll send you guys Veronica's TikTok account as soon as I get it going.